Hart and der Grenze, banned in Germany. At first glance, Hart and der Grenze looks like a quirky game about border control, where players act as customs agents, inspecting luggage and trying to catch smugglers. But the gameplay raised serious eyebrows in Germany as it involved profiling, bribery, and the power to detain travelers. Critics said it trivialized real-world issues like xenophobia and immigration discrimination. Teachers called it inappropriate for children, and it was swiftly pulled from educational spaces. The game's humor didn't land with everyone, and when a board game makes border policy into a party game, people notice. Game Monopoly was banned in the United States. In the 1980s, Game Monopoly hit the market as a bold reimagining of the classic game, redesigned to celebrate LGBTQ+ culture. Properties had names like Castro Street and Christopher Street, and the game pieces included a leather cap and a high-heeled shoe. But Parker Brothers wasn't having it. They issued a cease and desist to the creators for infringing on the Monopoly brand. Beyond the legal heat, the game was also controversial for its openly queer content in a very different era. Retailers refused to carry it, and even some LGBTQ+ bookstores were hesitant. It was a symbol of representation, but also of how unwelcome that was in many public spaces at the time. Killer was banned in multiple countries and many USA schools. Killer, also known as Assassin, isn't a traditional board game. It's actually a live-action role-playing game that turns everyday spaces into a playground of mock assassinations. Players eliminate each other using props like rubber bands, spoons, or water pistols. Think of it like Mafia, but in real life. Harmless? Sometimes. But after a few incidents where the game was mistaken for actual violence, schools and universities across the US banned it entirely. Some campuses even involve police. In one high-profile case, the game was linked to a real-world attack triggering panic. But this turned out to be false. It became a case study in how games bleed into real life and what happens when the world isn't in on the rules. Escape from Colditz, banned internationally. Escape from Colditz was designed by a former World War II prisoner of war, and it's based on real escape attempts from the infamous Colditz Castle, a German high-security prisoner of war camp. It's a fascinating piece of history turned into gameplay, but some critics felt it was in poor taste. In Germany and parts of Eastern Europe, the idea of turning Nazi prisons into a family game night activity didn't go over well. Some educators and stores refused to carry it, claiming it glorified war and trivialized the suffering of real POWs. Also, the original game had a swastika on the box, making many game stores not want to display them on shelves. The intent may have been historical accuracy, but the optics were messy. War on Terror, the board game, banned in the UK and beyond. This one is infamous. The board game is a satire that lets you build empires, fight oil wars, and even become a literal terrorist. If you're designated the evil player, you wear a black ski mask. It's dark, it's bold, and it's intentionally outrageous. Retailers were horrified. Stores in the UK banned it. British politicians condemned it publicly. At one point, police even seized copies during protests because they feared it was promoting anti-government sentiment. The creators leaned into the controversy, but it still became a symbol of free speech versus public offense. Serial Killer, banned in Canada. Packaged in a zippered body bag and complete with disturbing body counters, this game had one goal: murder across America. Players took turns traveling the US, committing killings and trying to avoid capture, especially in states with the death penalty. Public backlash was immediate. Families of real victims condemned it. Psychologists warned it desensitized players to violence, and major retailers flat out refused to stock it. It was deemed as one of the most twisted games ever made, and pushed the limits of decency in the name of satire, or shock. Public assistance. Why bother working for a living? Banned everywhere. This game was released in 1980 and was meant to be a satire about the US welfare system, but the execution was anything but subtle. Players could choose to live as a taxpayer or a welfare recipient with cards that included stereotypes about drug abuse, laziness, and cheating the system. It was blasted as racist, classist, and wildly offensive. Civil rights groups protested. Public schools banned it. Even politicians called it out for promoting harmful narratives. In the end, it became a textbook example of punching down and how a game can reinforce social stigma under the guise of humor. Quest of the Magic Ring, banned in the USA among Christian communities. During the satanic panic of the 1980s, fantasy games came under fire for supposedly promoting witchcraft and demonic influences. Quest of the Magic Ring, a fairly typical fantasy adventure game, got caught in the crossfire. Despite being tame by today's standards, it included spellcasting, magical creatures, and enchanted items, and that was enough to get it pulled from certain Christian bookstores and homes. It wasn't banned by governments, but it was definitely socially banned by parents and churches. In some households, just owning it meant you needed an exorcism. Thought we were finished? We have a bonus banned game for you. Can you guess what it is? Getopoly, banned in the USA. This one's less of a game and more of a cultural dumpster fire. Released in 2003, Getopoly was a parody of Monopoly set in an exaggerated, stereotyped version of an inner-city neighborhood. Instead of properties like Boardwalk and Park Place, you had cheap liquor stores and massage parlors and crack houses. The game pieces included a pimp, a 40-ounce bottle, and a machine gun. Critics from all corners, politicians, community leaders, civil rights groups, slammed the game as blatantly racist and offensive. Lawsuits were filed. The NAACP demanded it be pulled from shelves. And although some stores initially stocked it, most quickly pulled out as backlash grew. Even Hasbro sued the creator for infringing on the Monopoly brand. But the real issue was the content. It wasn't just offensive, it was hurtful, reinforcing damaging stereotypes about black communities for the sake of a laugh. Getopoly didn't just cross the line, it stomped on it, lit it on fire, and sold it on eBay. Board games are meant to bring people together, but sometimes they stir up controversy, push boundaries, or accidentally ignite a cultural firestorm. Whether it's satire, poor timing, or just bad taste, these games show that even something as innocent as rolling dice can turn political, social, or downright illegal. Which one shocked you the most? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more weird board game content.